What's up? Welcome back to Cover Two with B Woo. Earl knows it all, and I'm flying solo today. B Woo was a little bit under the weather, and as they say, man, better late than never. We in the building, man. It's been a crazy, crazy week in the NFL, man. The week started off with the Patriots of all teams winning on Thursday, and I should have knew then when old Dollar Bill pulled one out of his behind and got a victory, that it was going to be a wacky weekend, man. So we got a lot to get into. We're going to talk about all of those things, some teams that moved in the standings. Is Kansas City done now? My Eagles, what's going on with Philadelphia, man? 2 beatdowns in a row. And do I have to come clean and say the boy genius in San Francisco truly are the best team in the NFL? All that and more today on Cover Two with B Woo and Earl knows it all. I'm flying solo, baby, but we still gonna get this work in. Let's go. Welcome back to Cover Two with B Woo. Earl knows it all. Like I said, I am hosting by myself today. Shout out to my brother B Woo, man. I hope you feel better. You know, I'm sounding a little been trying to a cough has been trying to come upon me, but I've been fighting it off, man. We ain't gonna take that. Speaking of fighting things off, man, a team that needs to show a little bit more fight. I'm gonna address it right here at the top of the show because I'm tired of people texting me. I'm tired of the comments. I'm tired of people saying, "What's wrong with your Eagles?" Hey, man, Philly, y'all got to get it together, man. You get beat down last week by San Fran. You know, it's understood. You're coming off, short week after playing the Monday night game, I think, against Kansas City. And then, San Fran had a longer layoff and, they were healthy and this was like the Super Bowl to San Fran. So I understand. But after taking that beat down to San Fran, I thought we would show a little bit more resolve. I thought we would come out and show a little bit more fight, but no, I got to give credit where credit is due, man. Dak and the Cowboys carved up the Eagles too, man. And it was another beatdown, 33-13. And needless to say, I'm very disappointed in the way the Eagles have looked. But are you a glass half full or a glass half empty guy? I'm a glass half full guy. So I'll say this, man. We saw the 49ers take 3 straight losses in a row during the season, and right now they're hot. And, hey, it's maybe a good time to be peaking. We still got 3 games left in the season, though. So, or 4 games left in the season, actually. So it's not, I would say it's not time to panic just yet now. Some things that we saw, if you're an Eagles fan, that you probably want to have a little bit of concern about. But every team goes through this, man. And literally in the NFL this year, and it's especially this week, everything that seemed like could go wrong did go wrong. It was like Bizarro week, except for San Fran. I guess they handled their business. Baltimore wins the game, but they struggled with the Rams. Oh, they had to go to overtime to beat them to move to 10-3 as well. But yeah, it's no, and you've heard me and B Woo say this all season. There's no really standout team, and I'll have to come clean and say, I guess the San Francisco 49ers are the standout team, but we've seen them lose 3 in a row this season as well. So even in that, you can see how things can change very quickly for a team. So the Eagles right now are just the team that is going through it at the moment, man. So we saw Dallas get blown out by San Fran as well. So I guess by default, like I said, you can say San Fran is maybe the team to beat. Tonight on Monday Night Football, you'll see the Dolphins try to continue to hold on to the number 1 seed in the AFC. You saw the Jaguars lose a game against the Cleveland Browns, who had a quarterback that's 36 years old and has been out of the league. You saw a team like Detroit lose to the Bears. We've seen Detroit do that a couple times now. I was saying the whole season I've been beating the drum saying Detroit, man, they seem like they're for real. They're winning the games. It's close, but they pull them out. They've started to lose a couple games that you can't lose to Chicago. You can't lose to Green Bay. But they did, in fact, lose those games. So I think Green Bay plays the Giants tonight as well. So that's another game you got to look at and say, okay, what happens there when you start thinking about is Green Bay in this thing now? The thing I was looking at the standings even before the games yesterday and kind of said, you know what, man, everybody's kind of right in that 5-7, or now I guess that they play either 5-8 or 6-7, or 7-6 or 8-5. Everybody's kind of right in that range right there, man. So, the only teams that are kind of above that, like I said, are the Eagles, the Cowboys, Ravens. I mean, all of those teams are 10-3, and the 49ers. So it's still a lot left to be determined with 4 weeks left in the season. So um if you're asking me if I'm abandoning the Eagles yet, what I'll tell you is that's to be determined. I told you, man, as quick as I jump on the bandwagon, I'll jump off. But it's been a fun season, kind of rooting for the Eagles. First time in my life that I have openly rooted for another football team besides professional football team, that is, besides the Atlanta Falcons. When the Falcons lost the Super Bowl 6 years ago, now I think it is, I just stopped watching football altogether and said, whatever, man. And last year I watched the Eagles kind of run through things. I like Jalen Hurts a lot. I like the draft picks that they made. A lot of the Georgia guys that I like. They got DeAndre Swift. They got Jalen Carter. They got Nakobe Dean. They got a lot of the guys who I rock with that I watched kind of come up through the college ranks and all of that. So, and Jalen Hurts is a guy whose story I like as well. I like the way he carries himself. So, they were an easy team for me to root for, man. That's why I chose them. But hey, just as quick as I pick them up, I can drop them, man. So, yeah, we'll see though, man. I haven't abandoned ship yet, man. I think they're definitely going to be a team that will be a deciding factor in what happens in the NFL as the season comes along. So they could very well see both the Cowboys, and if they're lucky enough to beat that team or however that pans out, and the 49ers again. So they'll get their shot at them again, man, and we'll see what happens with that. Now, B Woo ain't here, and I said this, I went live on IG a little while ago when I was talking about how, I just talked about the Falcons and how I had stopped being a fan of them, right? Well, funny thing about that is, man, your heart really tells you kind of where you are with things. I found myself watching that Falcons game and screaming at the TV as I watched it. And I said, man, what is wrong with you? You don't root for these guys anymore, man. But they're a very frustrating team, man. They should probably be at least 9-5 at this point. Maybe, I mean, 9-4, I guess, since it's 13 games in, right? I would say they should be 9-4 at the least. Shouldn't have lost to the Vikings. Shouldn't have lost that game yesterday. A couple other games they probably shouldn't have lost either. They lose their first divisional game, and right now it's a three-way tie by virtue of tiebreakers. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are the leaders in the NFC South now at 6-7. And I think the way the standings are working is the Falcons are in second place, and then the Saints are in third place right now. But don't quote me on that, because does it really matter? It's the question, man. The thing that is frustrating about the Atlanta Falcons, man, and I'll say this, is they have all the makings of a team that should be able to win this division because it's very winnable. That's the thing. And like I said, to be 6-7 right now and have a lot of the weapons that you have, it kind of comes down to two things for me. Kind of watching this team every week and bouncing between them. And like I said, being a local team and the team that I rooted for. So I keep an eye on them, even though I'm not rooting for them too much anymore now. I still want to see good things happen for them. It's coaching that in inopportune times they don't make the right moves from a coaching standpoint or a game plan standpoint. And then they have a quarterback that is limited, man. That's just the bottom line. And you almost have to play perfect, mistake-free football in every other phase of the game if you're going to have a quarterback that is limited, like Ritter. Now, Ritter can do some things. I know, B Woo calls them riddles and we make fun of him or whatever, but he can move around a little bit. Every now and then he can make a pass that'll surprise you, but he's too inconsistent. He doesn't have the pocket presence. And some people will say, well, he's only in his first year as a starter. And I understand that, but you got an opportunity now to take the bull by the horns, win this division, and, run away with it, essentially, because The Buccaneers don't want to win it. The Saints don't want to win it. And the Panthers are already probably the only team besides the Patriots that are mathematically eliminated out of this thing. So, yeah, man, it's frustrating watching them play. Now, the Falcons will play next week. Let's see who they got next week, man. So the Falcons, 4 remaining games. They get the Panthers again next week. They go to Carolina. On Christmas Eve, they host the Colts. The Colts are a very tough team. And then they get the Bears, who have proven they're not an easy out. And of course, that last week they take on the Saints on January 7th. So, I think the probability of them winning the division went from 85% if they would have won that game to now it's 25%, which is crazy. But yeah, man, that's kind of what you get. You got 2 more division games. If they can win those games, they should be able to lock this division up. I think 8 wins will get this division won. The problem is you probably should already have 8 wins at least and be kind of, in the mix. And even in looking at that, Detroit is right there for the taking as well as far as the seeding situation is concerned. So you could probably even be higher than the 4 seed. But it is what it is, man. If you're a Falcon fan, you guys comment below. Tell me what you think. Are you frustrated with this team? Like, I find myself being frustrated, even though I don't even really root for them anymore, man. It's a very frustrating loss to see that happen on your home field against a division rival where your defense seemingly stepped up and made some big plays. Late in that game, both offenses kind of got rolling. But yeah, that was a frustrating loss, man. I can't lie. Like I said, and it was a lot of that going on in the NFL, man. If you're a fan that roots for some of these teams, man, you look at Kansas City is another team. I saw probably one of the greatest called back plays or just instinct plays. When you see that play Travis Kelce make, he makes the catch, he's getting down the field, he stops and laterals it back to Kadarius Toney, who runs it for the touchdown, and boop, out comes the yellow laundry, man. And you line up off sides as a wide receiver. I'm gonna go ahead and say it, man. I think it's a Taylor Swift curse. Okay, that's what it is, man. Now, truthfully, what the curse is, though, I'm not gonna say it's the Taylor Swift curse. If we're being for real, they don't have playmakers on the outside. You got Travis Kelce, and that's about it for this team. Cook, I think is his name, number 4. He's pretty good. I like him, but he's not at the level that you need him to be. Kadarius Toney has been a disappointment since they picked him up. You remember opening night, he struggled and caused a pick 6 going the other way. And, the Chiefs, for the first time in Patrick Mahomes' career, he's probably going to play a road playoff game now. The AFC has essentially been the Kansas City Invitational, where they invite teams in, and every now and then Joe Burrow, comes in there and wins the game in the playoffs. Or Tom Brady will come in there and win a game in the playoffs. But other than that, they've been making their way to the Super Bowl, man. I don't foresee that happening this year. I think what will happen, and I predict this at the start of the season, before the start of the season, actually, I think Baltimore is probably going to end up winning the AFC or the 1 seed. I'll say they're going to win the 1 seed, and I will go ahead and say they're a team that looks a little bit bumpy too, man. So they struggle with the Rams, but I think the Rams are sneakily good as well, or not good, but they got a lot of fight in them, and they can beat you on any given Sunday, like any team can. But you look at the landscape of the AFC, and it is a lot more murkier than it is in the NFC, where you got San Fran, and then right now you got to say Dallas, and then Philly after that, and everybody else is kind of trying to figure things out. In the AFC, I mean, we'll see what happens with the Dolphins tonight. But are the Dolphins the best team? Like, we saw Kansas City beat the Dolphins. They held them. They were up 21-0 in the game. They played them. We've seen the Bills blow out the Dolphins. They got to play the Bills again. And the Bills, believe it or not, are actually still in that division. They could actually mathematically win that division still. So, yeah, I don't know if you can trust the Dolphins, of course, with Tua's health history as well. And then Baltimore has lost games that maybe they shouldn't have lost. They've been in overtime games. They've been in close dog fights. And I just don't think maybe they have enough weapons either, or their offense hasn't looked as different or as dynamic as we thought it would with them getting a new offensive coordinator in there, man. The Browns are interesting because they got a very good defense, and I don't trust Joe Flacco, so I don't think they'll really make a run in the playoffs. But The Browns are interesting. They can beat you just because of their defense. And you saw what they did to Trevor Lawrence and those guys holding on to win that game. And then Cincinnati, the Browning kid. Who would have thought? I thought for sure when Joe Burrow was hurt, it was a wrap, And even before then, really, they started 0-3. Burrow got rolling, Jamar Chase, and they kind of were in the mix. They were one of the hottest teams in the league. And Burrow got hurt, and you say, okay, it's over with for them. But they're right in the thick of it too. So it's so many teams that are still in it. So many. Pittsburgh is probably the team that's going to be on the outside looking in. You start hearing people talk about, is it time for Mike Tomlin to go? Mike Tomlin's never had a losing season before. So I think you got to, and the Steelers are not the franchise that moves in haste. They've only had 3 head coaches in the history of their franchise. So I think Tomlin will have to do a lot worse than what has occurred currently. We saw them fire Matt Canada a couple weeks ago, their offensive coordinator, but I don't think they're going to get. If they do, hey, Atlanta Falcons, listen. Make sure you're on the first thing smoking to Pittsburgh to go holler at that man Mike Tomlin. That would be heaven sent if that could happen. You get Mike Tomlin in here in Atlanta, just saying, And funny thing, as I kind of recap, I was talking to a Falcon fan friend of mine, man, and I'm gonna steal this from I stole this idea kind of sort of from Bill Simmons, but I'll take it as my own. Justin Herbert and the Los Angeles Chargers. Staley's still there, right? Will he be fired, and when will they fire him? I guess it's just a matter of time now. But Justin Herbert, we keep hearing how great Justin Herbert is. They try to put him in the mix with guys like Mahomes and Allen. And at one point, I heard people saying he was the 3rd best quarterback in the league behind those 2 guys. Now, he's never been able to kind of get over the hump. He's like 500, Mr. 500, I guess, and they ain't even 500 this year. They lose that playoff game to the Jaguars and Trevor Lawrence after being up huge, and it's kind of just snowball. I'm surprised, and having been a guy that's been through losing a big game like that, you got to clean house after that, man. Get rid of the coaching staff and everybody. I know you can't just fire. Well, I ain't gonna say you can't just fire somebody for one game because I would do it, but it seems that, people say you got to have the stability and all that. Staley's never really been a good coach to me, man. So I was surprised they didn't fire him after that collapse in that game. And you see the kind of dividends that's paying right now for them. They're not doing anything right now this season. Now, I said all that to say, could a team make an offer to go get one Mr. Justin Herbert? If I'm the Atlanta Falcons and you need a quarterback, I think Kyler Murray is the guy you look at. But if Justin Herbert is who everyone has said he is, sort of the top 5 QB, a guy that can change your franchise, why wouldn't you say, hey, we got a first that we can give you, a third, we'll trade you Desmond Ritter, we'll trade, I would trade Bijan Robinson. You got a great amount of guys in that running back room that you don't need, man. You got Algier, you got Cordero Patterson. Bijan Robinson is not being used right. And the thing that made me think about this is me and B-Woo early in the season were having this debate about, are the Falcons skill players really that good? And I've seen people talk about this. Oh, they could have drafted this guy, but they drafted Kyle Pitts instead. They could have drafted this guy who's doing this, but they drafted, I think it was Garrett Wilson or somebody made, but they took Drake London instead. These guys haven't had a quarterback to get on the ball. And I know Wilson with the Jets hasn't really had anybody either, but I think Drake London has shown the propensity to be a playmaker to me. He puts me in the mind of a guy like a Roddy White. Roddy White, early on in his career, kind of struggled, dropped the ball a lot early on his first couple years. Couldn't get on the same page with Michael Vick. But once Matt Ryan got there in that first year, him and Michael Jenkins kind of took off, and really Roddy White, he became a top 5 receiver in the league and was Pro Bowl every year, all pro type guy, had a very great career with the Atlanta Falcons. Drake London looks like that kind of receiver. I don't know if he can take the lid off, as far as like a Julio Jones, one of those guys. But every now and then you saw Roddy White do that. I think he has the ability to do that, maybe not as consistently or as dynamically as a guy like a Tyreek Hill or Julio Jones, one of those kind of athletes. But Drake London is a good enough athlete. He made a catch and saved an interception, and a play that should have maybe catapulted the Falcons to a victory in that game over 2 defenders when Ritter just threw the ball up and he went and got it. if you give a guy like that a chance, and the jury's still out on Kyle Pitts for me. I can't say that I've seen anything like that from him per se. That makes me say, okay, yeah, he's for real. But you got a Drake London and you got some other pieces. I think Bijan Robinson is a very good piece if used right by the right coaching staff and having a kind of dynamic quarterback that would allow you to make him more of a threat in the running game. And you got a bruiser like Algier who comes in late in the game and pounds you and pounds you and pounds you. They got the makings of some good playmakers on this team, but you're holding them back with the quarterback play, man. So I know they tried to go get Deshaun Watson. And you know, Justin Herbert's making, I think, more than Deshaun Watson. I don't know if he's making more guaranteed, but he got a new contract. He's right in there. Would you give up something to go get Justin Herbert if you could? Now, another thing I heard, the reason why I said is I heard, and briefly, I wasn't really listening. I was riding in the car, but I didn't have it on. I wasn't paying attention, but I heard the name Justin Herbert come up and trade one of those top picks for him. And I said, the Falcons are a quarterback away, in my opinion. The defense has been opportune. They make plays when you need them to. Everything is kind of being held back by the quarterback play and some of the coaching decisions as well. So it's Christmas time. We're in the gift giving mood. If I could put anything on the Christmas list to send up the North Pole to Santa, I would say, hey, Pittsburgh, if you're not happy with Mike Tomlin, send him on down to Atlanta. Send him down south. We'll take him. And Mr. Herbert, if things not working out for you in LA, no real fan base, you just kind of languishing there. Your career is kind of just, you're getting paid, but you got so much more potential. We got some weapons for you here. We got a hungry fan base that's passionate about their team. Even when they lose, they are. Come on down to Atlanta, man. We'll make some moves and go get you. Now, as much as I give Arthur Blank crap, he has shown that if he has the opportunity to try to go and get a guy, he will. You saw that with Deshaun Watson. We've seen that previously with free agents like Michael Turner, Peerless Price, Ed Hartwell, even picking up Calais Campbell, guys like that this year. He'll go and get a guy if somebody, is telling him, hey, this is the guy we need to get. So, fun, no. You want to save your job, man, you better start making some moves, man, because you're gonna maybe get one more coaching hire probably. So get this thing right. I don't think Arthur Smith is the guy. You got to go get a guy that's going to really be a dynamic head coach. And if Pittsburgh is tired of Mike Tomlin, you should gladly call him in. And in the chocolate city of Atlanta, I seen a lot of my Caucasian brothers and sisters at the game. They put the camera on them a lot. I noticed that. I was like, CBS is finding a lot of my Caucasian brothers and sisters at the game. I know y'all be there. Y'all be rooting too. But in a chocolate city like Atlanta, man, Mike Tomlin would go over so well here. He would. And it would really energize the fan base, I think. And if you can get a quarterback like a Justin Herbert or a quarterback in here that can also energize this fan base, man, we're on the edge of our seats waiting for something. And those two would be the perfect gift. So, hey, that's just my thoughts on that, man. You guys tell me what you think. Tell me what you think about the AFC in general as well. Who do you think will come out of the AFC? Feel like we ask this every week. I'm still going with Baltimore, man. Kind of by default because I chose them. But, and is San Fran the odds-on favorite? Should they be the team? Should I just shut up talking about the boy genius Kyle Shanahan and bow down and say, hey, San Fran's going to win this thing? Is that what's going to happen? I don't think that's what's going to happen. I don't think the football gods will do that to me, man. I've been through too much as a football fan. I have to live through seeing Kyle Shanahan raise the Lombardi Trophy. So you guys tell me what you think, man. Again, I want to send a shout out to my guy, B. Woo. Get well, my brother. I love you. And thank you guys for watching the show. As we always say, man, make sure you tell a friend and tell a hater, man, because we welcome y'all. All we got is love to show to you and spread to you. We're a community of football fans who love this thing, root for our teams ever so hard. And as always, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn your notifications on so you do not miss a thing. Every now and then, we got to bump the schedule around a little bit. So if you turn those notifications on, you would have knew, hey, Monday morning, we ain't going to have you, but we got you this afternoon. So like I said, man, thank you guys for watching. Have a great week. Enjoy the rest of this football week. We will see you next week.